What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to vinyl wrap the hood on this Audi A4 using TeckWrap's Super Gloss HD Khaki Green. This hood is quite large, it's very wide, it's very long. We need to measure it out before we cut the film. So you can see that I have my tape measure sitting right here. I have it approximately 2 inches past the far left side or the passenger side, and I'm going to put it about 2 inches past the driver's side. You can go a little bit longer or shorter depending on how you want to do this. I do highly recommend that you leave yourself with a little bit of extra film to hold on to, usually 2 to 3 inches per side. Now that we have the measurements, we need to prep the surface. The surface, we need to strip of wax, grease, contaminants, that sort of thing. I'm using 70% isopropyl alcohol to do that. Very standard, very basic, and a clean microfiber cloth. You might be able to see that the hood on this vehicle has a lot of imperfections in it. The wrap is going to help cover a lot of these imperfections, but of course some will show through. That being said, great video to kind of show you what that looks like. Let's mist the surface and strip any wax or grease off of it. It's always important to give your vehicle a thorough wash. To do this job, you're going to need a heat gun, a squeegee, a knife, and preferably a wrap glove of your choice. Let's go back and forth here. Perfect. Now that we've wiped the exterior, we're going to wipe the underside. We're going to pop the hood open. I leave the hood propped or popped open. Even when I wrap, it makes things a little bit more accessible and easy to do. This is an interesting hood. The back corners actually drop down and become unavailable when we open it. We don't need to wrap very far underneath the hood, so we're just going to wipe in about the first half an inch or so, 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. I'm going to drop the hood back down so that I can wipe the back corners. Because the corners are dropping down, I need to wrap my cloth, my microfiber cloth around the squeegee, and we're going to get in under here just like this. Make sure that's super clean. Very important. Let me grab the piece of film and we're going to get this laid out across the hood. Now that I have my piece of film cut, we're going to lay this out across the hood. Let's remove the clip and unroll it. I have a couple of magnets in my hand that will help hold it in place while we unravel it. So I'm going to position the film about roughly 1 inch past the top corner. I highly recommend removing the protective cap at this point. Let's make it a little bit easier for you. And the film will become much softer and much more pliable. This is going to create a lot of static. What this has done now is it's actually created a lot of static and drawn the film towards the hood. Magnets or no magnets, this film just kind of wants to sit there. See how fast it drops down, right? You're going to want to make sure you clean away any debris, loose particles, that sort of thing before you do this. When we're doing this, I recommend you only peel off some of the release liner, about half to start. We're going to work the film and then we're going to wrap the other half. The film is not a pressure sensitive film, and we're also trying to avoid glue lines when we install this. When you're doing this by yourself, take your time. It just takes patience. Great. The static makes it a little bit more difficult to remove the release liner. It's not that hard, but it does make it a little bit more difficult, just so you're aware. I'm going to put my magnet down on the release liner, and I can peel the film a little bit more this way. Should work better. There we go. Take that out. I'm going to go about halfway. Perfect. We're going to need a vinyl cutter. Use one of your choice. I'm going to be using this one here. We're going to be removing this release liner. With a standard release liner, like a paper release liner, we run the risk of getting paper particles underneath the wrap. This one we don't, because there is no paper. It should cut very clean and smooth. If not, you need to replace your blade. But this really reduces the chance of getting any paper particles or contaminants underneath the wrap. What we need to do now is I'm going to put one magnet down, another magnet down on this side right here. Keep that there, and we're going to fold this back over. And we're going to try to keep the film somewhat tight. We don't want to slide or move the film too much. Let's get it a little bit more flat, just like that. All right, I'm gonna hold the film up and squeegee it from the most center point right here and work all that air towards myself. Your buffer on your squeegee should be clean or new. That's going to prevent swirl marks and light scratches, but most of them will heat out afterwards. We're going to take the film from this area here and probably don't even need any heat and just bring it out towards the end of the hood. Film is mostly pliable enough, in my opinion, for this hood to not even bother with the heat gun at that part. Pull it out to here. What's a good idea to do also is to remove the excess film. So before I try and pull here, we're going to take off anything excess and leave ourselves with about 4 or 5 inches on the very corner. Pop that up. Perfect. Keep that film spread apart and bring it down and around the hood. Again, no heat, right? I'm pulling firmly and tightly. Pop this up here. Make sure I let the air out. Push down. If we get an air bubble, we can squeegee it down very easily. The air release works very well. It's best to try not to get any air bubbles, but sometimes it happens. So making sure that you're being thorough with your squeegeeing is very important. Perfect. As you might notice, I haven't used the heat gun yet. Is that a good or a bad thing? It's good. It's nice to not have to use a heat gun if you don't really need it. It's just an extra step sometimes, and I prefer that if the film is pliable enough, that I don't have to use it. I prefer that way. What we can do now is we can begin to start the other side. Let's continue along. Perfect. Right now I have both sides finished up. We're going to finish up the middle. We have lots of wrinkles that run across the middle, which are good. It means the film was pulled nice and tight to begin with. We're going to lift these up and just make sure we pull them all out tightly and towards the end of the hood. Again, not using heat, just the pliability of the film. That's going to make it possible for the most part for this hood. What you'll notice when I use heat is that I'm going to be using the heat in a different way. Now what we need to do is we need to cut off the back section because we're going to lift the hood and wrap the film around the edges. For this, we're going to need a glove and our heat gun. Again, you can see the stone chips in the front end of this vehicle. It could be best practice if you really wanted to make it as perfect as possible would be to get the bodywork done. Now on the back corner, I'm just going to put the film around the back corner while the film is cool before heating it. And then when I do that and I heat it, the film will actually shrink down and around the back corner because it's a polymeric. And boom, our corner is done. Super simple and a very effective way to do this without even stretching it at the corner. I'm going to have to trim the back corners first because I need to lift the hood up. Over here, same thing. I'm going to put that down around the corner while it's cold. And you might have noticed that I actually put masking tape on the fenders. This helps because the film doesn't stick to the fenders when I'm trying to put the film around the back corners. That's not for all cars, that's just mainly for this one and other vehicles where the corners of the back part of the hood go down dip down when you go to lift the hood up. Once we finish this up, as far as the back cut goes, we're going to then lift the hood and we're going to do the front and sides. My knife is going to run along the underside edge of the back part of the hood. I'm going to come right underneath the corner, all the way around. And that will usually make it nice. Perfect. Let's take this out of the way. I have to cut some film off because it's all stuck to the fender, and I will need to lift the hood. I have to do the other side next, and then I'm going to heat those corners down in the back edge, and then we'll lift the hood. Back of my knife running along the underside of the hood on the back edge. Let's move my magnet. Come down right around that corner. Excellent. That's it. I'm going to go over that with some heat right now. And just add firm pressure. Go over it a few passes. I usually recommend at least 3 passes. Start at the top and work your way around to the bottom. Just get the squeegee in there since I can't get my finger in there. And that will help with that area. Perfect. We want to make sure that the film has released from the fenders or the bumper and the bumper. Great. You can see this hasn't taken terribly long as far as the installation goes. When you set yourself up and you understand the process, it makes quite a difference. All right. Perfect. I'm going to rest the hood at an angle which is a little bit lower. I'll get a box to do that just so you can see better. All right, I have a box here. We're going to put the hood on that just so you can see a little bit better. Just a cardboard box, it's not going to do any harm. I'm going to first alleviate all the tension on the edges. So there is some, because I did somewhat stretch down, but the film is going to just naturally shrink down around these edges. I just have to do this properly without stretching down, okay? The polymeric film will naturally shrink on its own. And so we use this ability of it shrinking to work for us. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference. So again, I'm not pulling the film down. I have just basically sticking to my fingers, and then I bring it down and around the edge very lightly. Anywhere I feel like I might have a little bit of tension. So just to kind of explain that, maybe a little bit over here, just kind of lift it up slightly and then just heat it. Watch, you'll see the film go smooth. Watch, there we go, smooth. We take it, bring it down and around. A couple of small wrinkles there, but just squeegee them out. Done, very simple and it's very effective. I have a few more right here as well. So same deal, heat it, watch. You're gonna see them go smooth. I did not heat and stretch this film to wrap the hood. This means that the film has the ability, the natural shrinking ability still in effect, which is nice. You know, we can use that again to shrink the film down and around our edges. Helps tremendously. It makes your wrap last forever. Now, if you do have to add some heat to stretch the film around the panel, by all means, that's fine. Just make sure you go over all your edges, as I'm doing right now, and be thorough. Okay, this is the time for the glove. We're gonna keep the heat gun running. We're gonna put the glove on, and we're gonna go over the edges. We're gonna also check any other areas kicking around, see if there's anything going on. Nope, everything's good, so we're gonna keep going. Remember, 2 or 3 passes at least. On the corners, I just heat them, press them down and around. Simple, simple, simple stuff. Don't overthink this. Watch the corner right here. Just heat it. There's no wrinkles on that corner. So there's no reason this film should ever pull off of that corner. There's no wrinkles usually means no tension in most cases. Let's cut it. I can leave it like this. I might have to put it down a bit to reach that. I think we'll be all right though. I'm just gonna start my cut back here and you'll see a little bit more once I get to the front on how I'm actually cutting this. Yeah, we're good back here. Cool. I'm going to keep a little tension with my left hand, glide my knife right along the underside of the hood, sort of exactly pretty much the same way as I did the back edge nearer to the front window. You can see right there how I'm doing this, okay? I'm pulling with my left hand down and I'm keeping my knife underneath, okay? See how I'm doing that? Again, do we need more than this? Not really. You can wrap around more if you want to, but if you post heat and you relax all those edges before you cut, your vinyl is not going to go anywhere. Great. If you're not familiar with installation or the film, I can recommend that you wrap a little further underneath, maybe, you know, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Just in case you have a little bit of tension on your edges, the film might pull back, and that will happen with anything if you add too much tension to your edge. The key is installing the film with no tension on the edges, and also heating it as I just did before I cut. It's just a very super important trick and step to remember. The other important step right now is this one right here. We're gonna heat it one more time. We're gonna go over all these edges one more time, point blank with the heat gun, pressing down, being really firm, and again, post-heating that edge. This is going to make it stay where it is. The film, technically, even though it might shrink over time, shouldn't shrink anymore because we actually shrunk the film before we cut. Right? And as long as we shrink the film before we cut, nothing should happen. Nothing should shrink anymore. It's called pre-shrinking. So we're just going to be very thorough. See how close I am with that heat gun? 1 to 2 inches away, I keep it moving. The only time I keep my heat gun there for any period of time that's a little longer than a split second is at the corners, where I heat the corners and I push down more firmly on them. Again, I'm going to do this back corner over here, push that back down, kind of lifted again and got stuck to the fender when I lifted the hood up. It's okay. It's done. We'll check this one over here just to double check and make sure. I'll put the hood down. Let's just lift the hood up so we can see what the underside looks like. So it's beautiful. Okay, that edge, super clean, really nice, all the way down and around. The transition from the green to the red is minimal, extremely minimal, to say the least. It creates a very clean and just symmetrical and really nice look to the appearance of a wrap. When we wrap around more, we see more of the transition. So it actually, aesthetically, you know, if someone is to look underneath the hood or inside the doors or the trunk, we would see more of a transition. This way, the way I do it, being thorough and post-heating, you're not gonna see that transition point. Let's put that box out of the way. You won't see that transition point because it's so thin, it's so minor. Again, let's just hit up the back corners with some heat here. Now that the hood's back down into a position that makes a little bit more sense for me. Again, lots of stone chips, but hey, it is what it is. The appearance of this car, let's say once it's finished wrapped, or finished being wrapped, is gonna be tremendously better, 100 times better. We're done. Stick that there. Nice part is with an older vehicle like this, you can more or less like restore a look or restore an appearance. If you really wanted to truly take the time to do some body work and touch it up before wrapping it, by all means you could do that too. But we get a really nice and even finish when we're done, you know, minus a few of the imperfections that do happen to stick up a little bit further. A little bit of wet sanding on a car like this will go a long way and take that down to be even a nicer finish. The product itself, extremely glossy. The reflection off of it is incredible. This is how you install it. I want to show you guys that on the hood. Hoods can be a little bit more tricky, the horizontal, and gravity is pulling the film down, which can make it more challenging to maneuver or squeegee the air out before the channels begin to lock air in. Gravity is doing that. The adhesive has a certain amount of time before the air channels will begin to lock up. So learning how to work a little bit swiftly or smarter by removing some of the release liner can help you achieve the finished result in the end. I hope that this video was informative and helpful in showing you how to do this. Look forward to doing more videos for you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Take care.